So, episode 9 of the Amazing Digital Circus just released yesterday, and I watched it. So, here are my thoughts, opinions, theories, and suggestions for later stuff. Okay, and part 1. Thoughts and opinions. Overall, it was like, I liked the ending. I mean, Jack's like abstracting. I miss him. Okay, he was a funny character throughout the entire series, and that was like what I really liked about him. He was funny, sarcastic, and had that like. He perfectly reminds me of a good mix of Raphael 1987 and Raph 2012. Sarcastic and want to be funny for 87, and then Raph 2012 being like this big tough guy on the outside, but on the inside he deeply cares about someone, his family, and so does Jack, his girlfriend, pardon me. So yeah, and okay. No offense, but I feel like Kinga would have, I thought he would have looked like a bit older. And yeah, Kinga is meant to be this big dad, kind of crazy, but deep down really hot guy. And yeah, Jack's being emo, him just flipping you off is just kind of funny. And what I really like is that Zubul's bar is a place where Jax and his friends hanged out. And yeah, that's really kind of crazy, but yeah. Okay, I'm gonna do part 2, theories. So, okay, in episode 6, this is what Zubul says. I'm gonna put a clip of it right here. And then episode 9, and credits, guess what happens? We see Gangle's door open, and then we see Zubul's room locked, and there's hearts coming out of it. And then we see Ragava blushing and walking away. Yeah. So my theory is, after Kane came back and became oh shit, my bad guys, he realized, wait, oh yeah, I can just give these guys wishes and they won't hate me. Yep. And that's exactly what he did. He and gave Zubul the ability to I'm not gonna say it, but I think you guys can kind of figure it out. And what I find kind of interesting is that Zubul can add parts to their body, and I think Gangle and Zubul like each other. This is also this heavily implies because Gangle has an empty body. And then we also see Gangle and Zubul, Zubul and Gangle before, and as a little teaser for episode 9, Team Unmaxed. So strategy is canon. So yeah, and I also think you can call them the abstractions. It's a bit crazy, but think about what Kinga did with Queenie. She wasn't violent when she was in the dark. So we could have just asked Kane, yo bro, turn off the lights, twin. And then King could just turn off the lights. And then, poof, the abstractions are calm and can be talked to from one side. Nothing really else. So, yeah. And, like, it's kind of crazy. And, like, okay, be honest. Everyone cried at that ending. Like, everyone. There's no way someone didn't at least shed a tear on their head. Okay. Now, this has been more of a shorter video. Or a shorter long form. But I think there's a lot to talk about. Okay. Now I'm going to do another theory. The theory of Jax not being like who he says he is. In episode 9, when he's talking to Ribbit, he says something like, "Oh, well, I shared something deeply personal to my mom, and she laughed." Right? And Jax is heavily implied to be like this wannabe tough, manly guy. Right? And when he is forced to put on the maid outfit in episode 5, he starts blushing, probably with anger and like cartoon anger, how like the eyes get all red and shit. But yeah, that is not an excuse. Oh yeah, and Gangles, like when like Pomni goes through his mind, she experiences like if everyone abstracted, like if Zubu abstracted, Kinga, Ragatha, Gangles, and Pomni. But we never see what he would do if Pomni abstracted, because he's locked up. Okay, before I get carried away. Gang, what happens when Zubu abstracts? He puts on the maid outfit, right? Gets all close to Gangle and says, "Meet me at my room. Don't be late," and gave her a key. It's either he wants to bully her or, something a bit deeper. But yeah. And my third theory, is what he would do when Pomni abstracts. Because he gets access in episode 6 by Pomni. And he jokingly says, "And I'll move on." And yeah. So, yeah. But I think he would have abstracted too. Of course, he wouldn't have not abstracted before episode 4. Like he probably just would have, done what he's done for every single other abstraction. But yeah, something to keep in mind. Part 3. Part 3. Suggestions for another season or spinoff. Even though Goose heavily implies, "Yeah, but why do you do with the goofy ass fandom?" It's still heavily left open for more. Think about it. The servers never got shut down, so that is that leaves open for everything. Either more characters to abstract or new characters to come in. I know this is probably way out there, but it's still a suggestion. Yeah. I don't really know what else to add here, because that's one of my only things. I kind of forgot to say that I didn't like how Jax abstracted, because I'm a Jax fanboy, of course. I saw this coming since episode 7. Yeah, I'm oh yeah, Jax abstracting, rest in peace, Lobro. Yeah. No way he's coming back. And I feel like they could have made his abstraction a little more like, cause like just like never mind, Poppy, my bad. And then like 2 minutes later, oopsie daisies, he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. Yeah. Overall thoughts of this episode solely, this episode only. I say it's like a 7 out of 10. I know they've been working on this probably for like months now, but I feel like Jack's abstraction could have been like a little bit like more like well put. Like at least put some like give it like a good old like I'm abstracting instead of just like he's dead. Yep, he's dead, and we're sad. Death. And yeah, that's all I really have to say. Thank you, Goose. Thank you, everyone, for this amazing show. Goodbye.